Would you actually believe this group? I mean, there's like 80 odd thousand people in it, possibly 88,000 even. And like 10 years ago, I started investigating illegal road signage and did a whole campaign about it. It was the thing that I was doing. No one was interested in it. And, I literally found loads of sites set up on purpose to mislead people. And several court cases and adventures and incidents. And now there is like, people are actually, this group is actually interested in it. This group should be like, wow, this is the actual thing that I was interested in and doing for 10 years. But it's kind of strange and interesting in a way. It's kind of like, I never really, wanted to kind of I wanted to solve the problem and try and get people to like realise there is a problem and maybe help or do something. Like I was trying to do my petition at the time. And 10 years on, wow. I mean, the fact that this group exists and there's so many people in it and the whole of Wales kind of, well, if you think that, in any election, usually only around 50% of people turn out, and then they've got at least nearly 20% of all Wales signed to it, well over 5%, I think 4 times 5%. It's about 20%. So 20% of 50%, you've nearly got half. You're only another... If you've got 20% of half of Wales who bother to turn out to vote anyway and have an opinion, if only 50% of Wales have an opinion anyway, if there are 3 million electors and only out of 3 million electors, about 1.5 to 2 million turn out, and you've nearly got... I think if there's 3 million people and only about half of them bother to turn out to vote anyway or have a political opinion, I think that it's going to be like 1.5 million's half of... No, 1.5 million's half of 3 million. So, of the 1.5 million, right, there can't be that many more than 1.5 million who bother voting in Wales. So, if you've nearly got 500,000, you've literally nearly got half of the amount of people... They've got just under half of the amount of people who do bother to come out and vote. So they weren't far off. I think if it had been over 500,000, if it had gone into 800,000, they'd have more than half of the whole people. But because there is so many, and a lot of people aren't on the internet, remember still, that is referendum worthy. Now the fact is, they're saying that the police and the councils now are still pressing on to commitments, but what commitments? The commitment is, the petition is the commitment, what they're to, and the outcome of the referendum. There is no other commitment. It's one point of government which people have chosen to have an opinion on, their opinion, not the ministers. So all these stories at the moment people are saying about, the police and councils are turning up at all the national speed limit places and removing all the signs and putting 30 signs down everywhere now. The whole thing is totally gone, corruption-wise, from the government. I love the fact that they've got this group, right? But I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. I'm just kind of like sitting at the side, thinking, wow, this is good. People actually are interested in this now, and people are actually sort of doing something about it. Including the ULEZ in London. The ULEZ zone in London is sort of, it's about driving and cameras, really, and that is what this is about, driving in cameras, just slightly different areas of it. It's just amazing that it's actually a thing now when people are doing it. But, I mean, there's people in this group, they've all got their own kind of they're all doing their own input, their own ideas, their own kind of campaigns. They're all just throwing their own kind of stuff at it. And now it's kind of like, well, I was kind of like, well, it's good. I'm not complaining at all. But actually, now I'm kind of like, wow. So I never really managed to get that many people to sign my petition, but it didn't really matter that much because I've got, as long as my petition covered my own investigation. And now I'm kind of like, wow, even if I had have got 88,000 people in a group, and even if, and I wasn't looking to get loads of people in a group, I was just looking to get the evidence together and make a case. And now that, like, they've got all these signatures for Wales, so many signatures, which is like, wow. And even to see the government still defiantly opposed to it and the police is quite a thing to behold. It's kind of like, wow, this is crazy. Why don't they just give us the referendum on it? You know, well, they don't want to. And then you've got the Stop Cop City in America, where, you know, they went by a lawful process to collect a referendum, which had strict rules, which they complied with, and to stop this big police station mega centre being built in Atlanta. And then even their government and council ripped them off and gypped them off. And then with the whole ULEZ thing and the mayor, the London mayor, they got over 400,000 signatures on that. And then they were basically not doing anything in Parliament about it. They wanted everyone to vote for, you know, their candidate in the mayor election in London instead to stop it, which is ridiculous. Why should they have to vote to stop it when they already got the signatures to get the Prime Minister who's in the same political party as that candidate to do it? Anyway, I complained to Parliament and various other places about this injustice, and the Conservatives then put a bill. They put a bill forward to stop ULEZ, right? So we've actually got an action from Parliament. They put a bill to stop ULEZ, and apparently the Labour Party just voted against it, opposed it. I don't know what happened with some of those postal prosecutions when they put a bill through for that, and they all seem to kind of vote in favour of that, I think. Well, I thought Tice was talking about them putting one through. He said that they did do it. In a way, really, the Stop ULEZ London issue, really, that the action of them actually putting a bill to the House, apparently, this is what I've been told, but Labour voted against it. That is an action resulting from the petition, right? Now, the thing with Wales is, Wales, I don't think in London they quite have. They've got more people than vote for the Green Party in Wales behind Stop ULEZ, right? I know that for sure. And out of all the just over 2 million people who turn out to vote, there's more people in London, right? Of all the electors in London, the amount of people who turn out to vote is about just 2,100,000 last time, or something around that, right? And in Wales, you've got 3 million people, and probably, I think, we can check this, but I think half of them turn out to vote, right? It might be a bit more in Wales, might be more patriotic, right? But it's somewhere around half, because in Northern Ireland, it was less than half that turned out to vote. And I think Northern Ireland is going to be patriotic, right? So there's actually less people in all of the country of Wales who turn out to vote, who turn up and cast a vote, than in London. More people in London turn out to vote than in all of Wales, right? That's something. And a quarter of, equal to about a quarter of the whole London electorate turnout, the voting turnout, are opposed to ULEZ, which is probably why the Tories are trying to latch on to the whole campaign and try and get behind it so they can vote Labour out, but they want to use the cameras for other things. I got them to lay a bill. I got them to lay a bill in Parliament, you know, but obviously Labour are going to vote against it if Sadiq Khan's wanting to do it. But I think they're both behind the whole scheme and plans anyway. The whole Jeff Buys Cars channel has laid out their whole scheme and plans for the future, and this is part of it, regardless of which party you've got. The Tories and Labour are both behind this kind of like sort of future general model they've got for society, and that figures into it. So regardless of whether they charge cars the fines, it was just a way to, once they got it in, once the can got it in, then they can just kick the ball around. You know, it's just like throwing the ball into the pitch. They got the cameras up, and then it doesn't matter whether one team, you know, uses them for finding cars or another team uses them for facial recognition or whatever. They've got them into play now, and we're paying for them all. And in Wales, they're banging up all these, you know, they're taking all the speed signs down, and, you know, all these private contractors are making money out of all, you know, new road signs everywhere, making a fortune out of our money when there's petition to stop it. To be honest, I'm quite surprised that they didn't at least lay a bill. I'm quite surprised they didn't at least lay a bill in the Welsh Parliament, you know, from that petition. I don't think they've done anything yet. I think the petition committee is still debating it at this point or still looking at it. But I've said to them, the law says that all the local councillors for all the regions all around Wales aren't allowed to have an opinion. They're meant to be selfless. They're meant to turn up and make judgments and opinions based on what their electorate think, and fresh each time new evidence is on the table according to the evidence. And I think that, you know, it really is, that procedure for referendums is a set procedure in law, which it's an action which is actioned on, it's not actioned, if you read it and understand it, you don't action it on conscience of the minister or conscience of the MP. You have to do it on the evidence, on what the evidence presents. I'm quite certain, without a doubt, that it's based on the same as the Inquiry Act. And the Inquiries Act says that, really, a referendum is an inquiry into the opinion of the public, right? And in the Inquiries Act, this is really important, right? This is very important, this part. The first part of the Inquiries Act, 1 and 2, right, say that should it appear to a minister, well, how is it presented? How does it get in front of a minister if someone hasn't petitioned him for it, or someone laid some evidence or laid a bill or complained, you know, someone has submitted something, right? Should it appear to a minister, right, that either based on 1, proof and facts, or 2, evidence of public concern, there should be an inquiry. Now, when you lay evidence of public concern, right, we don't do the referendum. We don't have to pay privately to poll the entire Welsh country. Because if you use the, what is the right to have a referendum, right? Let's use the Inquiries Act 2005 model for this, right? You're telling me this Ken Skates guy, right, whoever he is, this Welsh minister, Ken Skates, right? Is Ken Skates telling me, right, that we, the people, we're the ones who have to pay for the referendum, and we need to lay the results of a referendum to him, right, to prove there's public concern enough to have an inquiry? Well, what would the inquiry be? Oh, to find out what people's opinions were, right? To find out what the full extent of the concern is, right? We're not doing the referendum. The referendum is operated and run by the government under a special procedure, right? We don't do it. Now, the petition asking for it is fulfilling the second A and B, right? Evidence of public concern. But it's not the results of a referendum. You don't have to lay the results of a referendum, and the petition can never be a referendum because it's not a referendum, it's a petition. Yes, it's written on the Welsh website. Yes, it's an official petition, but it's not an official referendum, it's an official petition. How you run a petition and now you're in a referendum are two different things. Because firstly, the petition, people have to share it themselves. And people have to publicise it themselves. It's on the government website, but the government don't post it through everyone's letterbox and ask people to turn up on a certain day and cast a vote. There's two different things. People who want to collect evidence of public support, they have to do that themselves. The government aren't going to share it for you, right? And that's the difference. Now, in law of England, right, no one in this country, or Wales or Scotland, has to present more than themselves 5% of an electorate, any defined area you want to call, to give evidence that there should be either an inquiry into something or a referendum, right? Now, the Inquiries Act says that should it appear to a minister that there's sufficient evidence or facts or evidence of public concern. Now, the evidence of public concern, he might say, well, that's not enough concern. But he's wrong, because they've published a number and they've legislated a number into law which qualifies that number is deemed in law to be adequate of showing public concern, right? You can't say, oh, well, there's a lot of people, but they're not quite concerned. No, there's a target number, right? That's the number, 5%. Now, if 5% of the entire country of Wales, which is exceeded by 4 times, isn't sufficient evidence of public concern to have an inquiry, when I don't know what is. Because who's doing the inquiry? I mean, it's meant to be a government inquiry, not, well, they call it a public inquiry. I think that's what they're expecting it to be, the public doing it. But no, the government are supposed to, well, who's paying? If it's government inquiry, then why aren't they paying for all the banners, posters and flyers to share the petition? We're being scammed, and now the police chiefs and God knows what are going down, taking all the signage down all over Wales, which everyone's paying for, going to private profit of contractors. We're being hustled. This is like worse than the Roman army. We're being scammed. Ken Skates is a criminal. I've put a complaint in to judicial conduct because it is... First Minister is a judicial office. You've got authority to put bills through Parliament to get the law changed and even to get people prosecuted. Like with the post office prosecutions, it's a judicial office, right? We got a bill put in front of Parliament. What happens if they've all voted to stop ULEZ? They've had more out of stop ULEZ so far than what they've got out of this Welsh Government. It's a very good experiment to see how corrupt these political parties are and how they make law and write law, but they don't want to. They don't want to give it. It's quite a lot. It's a large figure, 5% of an entire country. If it was England, they'd have to get actually 3 million, which is equal to the entire Welsh. 3%. I think 3% of the English population, although it keeps going up all the time. When it was 60 million, is about 3 million. It's probably you probably need a bit more than that now. But that 3 million, that 5% of England, is equal to the entire Welsh nation. The entire Welsh nation is 3 million, which is about 5% of the English population. It's a lot of numbers. These guys have got balls, these political parties. And further to that, I now know, and this is like, there was, I've got this picture up with illegal road signage because that's what I investigated, illegal road signage, which is misleading. And this is pure illegal road signage, right? But the thing is that, so the illegal road signage is one thing, but that just proves contractor and local council collaboration and not just professional negligence. It's actually a provision of the course of justice. They've actually planned a lot of these sites where the police turn up with cameras and so forth all around England, special sites designed to capture people. But when the whole thing really has come into light, they've really outdone themselves, the courts and police. So, studying the right to petition and rights and so forth, you end up getting into the courts and into like juries, studying that and the origins and the current situation. We know they've got current laws and we know they've got current acts, but it's all meant to be based on there's certain principles in statute law and found it like Magna Carta and so forth that cannot be contravened or contradicted. It's got to be compatible because that's what the legal basis is of the principle of the proceedings. It's like the framework, you know, the scaffolding of it all, or the blueprint, the plan of it all. Now, the Jew in Magna Carta were supposed to be only able to be fined and prosecuted by our peers, right? Now, in the 1850s, in the mid-1800s, they took the juries out of the magistrates' court. No one challenged that from Magna Carta. And they've got the juries in the Crown Court, but they had the assizes and quarter sessions at that time, but they were periodic. The assizes and quarter sessions were just like but each of them like quarter sessions 4 times a year, and the assizes was, you know, a couple of times a year or whatever. But they got a little bit more well established. But in 1970s, they transformed it into the Crown Court. Right, you can have a jury in the Crown Court, but all the civil side, the civil request side of the assizes and quarter sessions, that's the county court. And they also have facilitation for High Court as well at the county court without having to go into London. Or the High Court's got a department in the county court anyway, right? Now, the thing is that for a while, through the 1930s, I think, and so forth, around that sort of time, they started to, when they ended the quarter sessions, I think that was in 1970s as well, they made it so if there's no need for a jury or no business for a jury to do, then there was no point having them, right? So they didn't call them. So they started having them less, right? But the thing is, because they moved a lot of the prosecutions into the magistrates' courts, right, from these quarter sessions and assizes, and now the Crown Court, you see, only really hears appeals from the Magistrates' Court. Now, you were supposed to be entitled to a jury anyway for common crimes. Now, you only get a jury if it's serious or if you appeal the decision of a magistrate or the magistrates, right? But you're not getting your peer judgment at the first instance, right? You're getting convicted. And then, you know, you're having to defend it and go seek a jury while you're suffering. You're very handicapped and put off by a lot of these legal proceedings, you know, when you're really supposed to have peer judgment straight away. Now, if you're going with this, right, I know that it's a bit long for some people and a bit, people might not believe me or legitimise this, but you can check it all, right? I'll try to make it as brief and clear as possible. So there's a legal principle, and the principle is that the court can't do you favours, right? It can't do you favours or offers, right? Why? Well, you won't find it in the Magistrates' Court Act or the Courts Act or the Criminal Procedure Rules. It's in the judge's oath, right, in the person of the judge, right, or the judicial position. They're not allowed to do deals or take favours, right, for sentences or justice, right? But it's also, but why is it in the judge's oath? Well, when we've got the 1688 Bill of Rights with the right to petition and freedom of speech and the rest of it, they've got the claim of right as well, 1689. And in the claim of right, there's a lot of things about oaths, right? And particularly, there's a thing about military commanders, military leaders, right, making judgments against the opposition or the enemies, like, you know, in Scotland over the borders and so forth, with other opponents, right? Or even warring lords or barons, whoever the opponent is, right, you know, up in Scotland, over in Scotland, for whatever matter, if you're leading a military force, because a lot of times these people had judicial position and authority, you know, like the general and so forth. They were, a lot of them were knights, you know, like Sir whatever, or Baron or Lord, right? And they had a judicial authority, and they could try the opponents when they captured them or when they beat them, right? But there was a rule or law to stop judges not giving the captured opponents a fair trial, right? Just basically doing them and then executing them or imprisoning them without a fair trial, which really, a fair trial is a proper trial in a court with a judgment and the peers, right? Now, as well, in that claim of right, it says that they can't force you to confess or get a confession out of you for an offence in exchange for favours or offers, right? They're not allowed to do it. And that's how it ended up in the judge's oath, because the word blackmail, if you look in the 18 and 1900s dictionary, right, it's from the north of England. It's actually from the north of England and south of Scotland, the word blackmail, right? Around that area where the claim of right was made, and I don't think it's any coincidence, it's a special particular word. And it's not only the giving of information, if you don't do what I say, you know, give me money or I will do this or not do that. It's also, I will not do this or that unless you give me money over. So it's not just like saying, give me some, you know, give us some information or we'll keep your friend hostage. Or it's like, you know, we won't give information, you know, if you don't let us friend go or something like that. I mean, so it's kind of like, you know, all that blackmailing, you know, we've got information, we won't give the information unless you release our friends. All this kind of, all around that area of law, it's to do with abuse of judicial authority in a military setting, right? Now, let's move forward in time, right, through the 1800s when they pulled the jury out and then gradually sneaking juries out. So we aren't even really getting judgment of peers. And then they've, you know, made it so only not very, very, very naughty people get judgment of peers. And people are too scared to go to Crown Court because apparently it's more serious penalties, right? Now, with the driving, it wasn't too bad when people had the little tiny driving licenses, which wasn't that long before I was born. And people used to get like a month ban or shorter bans, shorter disqualifications and things like that. But they really outdid themselves. You know, those speed cameras come in. Apparently, the first ones were around 1990. And it does tie in with that Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves movie. One of the first cameras on London, one of the London bridges, or one of the first camera in London, if you check, the last time I checked, it said it was around 1990, right? But I worked out that it was around the same time as that Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves film came out. You know, when, like, is a fighting on the river, this is our river, and any man who wants to cross must pay a fine, right? It ties in with that. You know, this is our river, and any man who crosses must pay a fine, and he pulls a rope and trips them up. There was some very strange-looking cameras in Hyde near Manchester. I don't know how old those ones are. They look very strange, like some weird Doctor Who prop. But apparently they're not from the 60s, 70s or 80s. Apparently they said that the first ever speed cameras were around the 1990s, so that must just be like the earlier model. They look very strange and very overly armoured. But those are the oldest ones that I've ever seen. When I've been driving around the country, those are the oldest looking ones around sort of, it's kind of around Ashton, Hyde, Denton sort of area of Manchester. When you come over from Stocksmoor, when you come over from kind of Sheffield, past all the reservoirs, Lady Bower, and then you go over towards Manchester that way, across the middle of the country towards, you know, you come in towards Hyde and Ashton Underline, that sort of way. They're all around there. The really the really, really, really old looking ones. To be honest, the design of them looks older than the 1990s, but you know that it told me that, you know, when I searched it, it said 1990s. So I mean, 1990s, 2000, 2010, 20. So they're about 30 odd years old now, I think. I don't think they've been around as long as some. I don't think the speed cameras are old as me in my lifetime. Really, I don't think they were actually as old as me. But there's one thing about this group that I never. There was, if you search the internet, there's a guy called Captain Gatso, but I don't know. We don't really hear much about him now. But it's a different guy. They had this guy on the news, and he was this Welsh speed camera terrorist, like a masked speed camera terrorist with like a gimp mask, you know, like a balaclava on. But he had a Welsh accent, and he was meant to be the nemesis of that Brunstrom guy, who was the North Wales police chief. And that I saw it on television. I'd love to get the television show when they showed him, but he was speaking on the news, and he was meant to be undercover and everything. And that was the whole North Wales war against, you know, the speed cameras at the time. And when I try search for that news story, I can never find it. But it wasn't Captain Gatso, because the Captain Gatso guy, they got a picture of him. He's a younger guy set leaning against his car, and he's got all that. So I don't know. That Captain Gatso guy is a bit of an enigma. It's something else that got thrown in at some point. So it's weird that this whole speed camera Wales thing now it is happening in Wales after that whole Brunstrom incident with that Captain Gatso, which was in the classic period, you know, I guess in the 90s. You always did used to see the odd speed camera burned out driving around England, but it could have been anywhere, you know. It was like a random thing. You could have been in Norfolk, or you could have been in London, or you could have been in Cornwall, or you could have been in Scotland, or Lancashire, or Wales. You could have been anywhere. You know, you could find one, you know, burned out or blown up or smashed in or whatever. It was just completely random, you know. It wasn't anything like this current campaign in Wales or the Stop ULEZ thing in London. It was just kind of like, you know, a bit of a complete and total random thing. I've seen speed cameras be removed and just taken out, you know, permanently. I don't know whether people won legal cases against them and they got them removed or what. Saw one removed in Barnsley. You know, it was there, and then, you know, just been properly, professionally removed by the police or whatever. Gone, you know. So that was a bit of a story about that Gatso guy. I wanted to ask these people whereabouts, what happened to him. So back to the we'll get back onto the oaths, right? So we find ourselves in the 1990s with these speed cameras popping up, right? And they're wanting to get more people, right? Get more people done by these speed cameras. Now, they can't have really been there that long, because when I started driving, right, probably when I was 16 or 17, right, I started driving as soon as I was old enough, really, right? But in the 1990s, I wasn't driving. In the 1990s, you know, I was going out, and that's when they started them. So they can't have really been, I mean, I bet they'd been, the whole thing had only been about 4 or 5 year old. I bet it can't have, they can't have really been doing them really for more than 4 or 5 years, right? So it's got to have been like pretty new, right? And I remember that Captain Gatso was on TV though. That's when I was younger, but I think that's around the time of that Robin Hood Prince. That Captain Gatso was on TV. That must have been somewhere between around the time of that Robin Hood Prince of Thieves film, or around the time that I started driving, or maybe after. But it definitely was early. It must have been quite early on, an early on response to them all at the time. So they really wanted to start finding a lot of people. Now, I've told this story before, but when I first started driving for work properly, I ended up going to Oldham, right? And it probably was very, very early on when I started driving for a job. And, you know, I'd grown up as a normal kid and, you know, I didn't really have anything. I don't even think that the only thing I'd ever had to do with the police is if they turned up at school to do a talk in assembly. And even then, they were doing weird, odd, macabre stories of eyeballs stuck on aerials on cars and kids having incidents. They were even, you know, these speed awareness courses when they used to show you all the weird stuff, you know, like the weird videos and that. They used to come up. Actually, his son, he had a son who was in our school for a while, this particular police officer, but he used to come up in assembly. It'd be banned now. I think the stories that he used to tell would be probably banned, like over 18 certified stories. You probably could prosecute him for telling those stories to kids under 18, I would have thought now, because they were quite graphic. So... yeah, I mean, I didn't have anything to do with the police. You know, I didn't really know anything about law and order or anything. So, you know, you just go do your driving test, you know, you learn how to drive, you do lessons. We didn't learn anything about speed cameras in those driving lessons, you know. They must have not... We didn't learn anything about those in driving lesson. I didn't even... To be honest, I didn't even know when I came out of that driving test and I started driving, I didn't even know about speed cameras. I don't even think that my driving instructor told me that they existed, right? It just wasn't on the radar. And I passed first time. So so one day, not that long, I mean, I don't know whether it's 12 months or whether it's 6 months or maybe 2, some sort of time, I would say probably under 12 months. I'm likely under 6 months from when I started driving. So I'm just going out of Oldham, right? On the... you know, I'm going out of Oldham and they've got this road called Bottom of the Moor or Top of the Moor, right? You see, we're called Top of the Moor or Bottom of the Moor, right? There was a big bridge there now, but they demolished it, like a roundabout with a railway bridge that went across it with big arches, but they smashed it. The government took it down. That road... So I was just driving out of there one day and, you know, I didn't, you know... As far as I know, nothing happened. No incident occurred. And then, like, as you know, a couple of days later or whatever, within 7 days or 14 days or whatever it is, we got this letter through. Oh, you went through a red light, and then it's got this, like, you know, like official government or police symbol badge at the top. So it looks quite serious. And you're like, oh, what's this? Oh, well, it's like a fine, but you've done something wrong. You're like, what? Me? I've done something wrong? Like, well, the police, you know, official police letter. And I'm like, what the fuck's this? You know, I'm just a normal citizen, you know. I don't get involved with police, you know, that's for criminals, right? So I'm like, what the fuck's this? You know, that's all, you went through a red light. And I'm like, what? What red light? You know, it was actually a red light camera. I was like, what red light? There was no red light. You know, no red light existed. There was no red light. I didn't drive through a red light. You know, it didn't fucking exist. You know, no incident existed. So I'm just like, what? And I think I did go check it out to look. And there's a camera there, right? But there definitely wasn't any red light when I went up there. You know, so I don't, to this day, I do not believe that that light was at red. I don't believe even that a camera, didn't see the camera, I didn't see a flash. I know that you don't see the flash in the daytime. I just don't think the incident happened. I drove up that road normally, and that's it. Right? And someone made a letter, right? And said, you went through red light. Now, they take photographs, okay? They do take photographs. But I don't know, you know, you could say what you want about those photographs. I never obtained them, did I? I didn't obtain them first time because I wasn't into obtaining photographs. I don't think they automatically sent them through either. I remember just a letter. I don't think I asked for the pictures at that point, because I didn't really understand what it was, to be honest. So, you know, you don't think of, you know, going to court or anything, because they say, oh, what is it? Well, it's a fine. You're being fined for going through a traffic light. So you don't think that, you just think, oh, it's a parking fine. You know, you park somewhere, you have to pay a parking fine, right? So you wouldn't think either it's a serious letter, right? Oh, you know, it's from, you know, the police, but they say, oh, this is what you call a fine. You have to pay some money, right? So you don't think, you don't think, oh, when at that age, you don't think, oh, this is like, you know, a prosecution or a court. You don't understand what it is. You think, oh, it's a fine, but from a police. So you think it's serious. So it puts the shits up you. You're scared, frightened. And what do you know about law, right? Now, I can tell you now that from what I know now, that site had a sign when you approach the camera at the exact distance in the road traffic signs manual that you've got to be able to see the camera from on approach at the maximum distance. You put a sign there and the road curves, and as you approach the camera, that sign is obstructing the view of the traffic light. If you're driving in the inside lane and central, when you as you come around the bend, at the exact distance in the manual from what you've got, minimum distance that you should be able to see that traffic light from, you can't see it because it's blocked on the sign. I don't think that is if you're in the outside lane, but I was driving in the inside lane on that occasion, I think, anyway. So, I mean, it's unlawfully signed. Like here. I mean, this is what we're looking at in this video. We've got a sign on the left that says 40 and one on the right that says 20. That's contradictory, right? And it's misleading and confusing. And even if they think they've got to have one on the left or the right, it's just wrong. It's a contradictory piece of information that in the mind confuses the driver. And anyone who has to take any extra time to even think in their mind, oh dear, I wonder, by the time you've thought the words, oh dear, I wonder which speed limit it is, then that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, and then they're even talking about, you know, approach distance and how much distance you've travelled by the time you've been distracted by thinking that. And then the police will go into all this else, say, oh, well, that's an example, isn't it? Just see how far you've travelled when you're trying to think about that. You know, well, you know, set up the monkey puzzle games, you know. This is it. Why don't you put fucking snakes and ladders on the floor and we'll play that as well, officer? You know, this is the thing. So, you know, as you go through the years, you know, obviously you're getting better at driving because you're getting better and better and better at driving, you know. I wasn't a perfect driver, I'll tell you that, but I enjoyed driving and liked driving. But when it got to the point, I think, you know, when that Nick Freeman on there, well, live my whole life, you know, live my whole life out around the whole country. You know, I had all the radio programs. Then, you know, you get your, you know, then you got all that stupid Peppy Poo forum with all the undercover lawyers and police giving people misinformation who haven't got a clue what they're talking about on there, and the whole Nick Freeman commercial sector of the whole legal basis of it all. He's the one who went on the radio and told everyone about the illegal road signage. And the BBC to this day still won't give me a copy of that Nick Freeman recording. They won't give it. I've subpoenaed it from them. They won't give me it. And, you know, you're supposed to be able to access evidence, you know. I want that video from them, that recording of the Nick Freeman on Radio 1 with Jeremy Vine. It's about 15 years ago now. So, now, the thing is, according to Magna Carta, you're entitled, if you have committed a crime, you're entitled to a jury, right? There's one of the, I think it is one of the George Acts or the Charles Acts that say that, you know, you can't ask for a pardon for a highways offence, right? But that you know, that's not a pardon though. You're still entitled to a fair trial. So you only ask for a pardon if you've been convicted. If you've been convicted, You know, you get a jury. Doesn't mean that you're not entitled to a jury. You can't say that highways offences can't even have a fair trial. I mean, I think maybe they take it upon themselves, you know, that, that there's no forgiveness for highways offences, or you can't even be found not guilty. But once they pull the juries out, well, they pulled the juries out before all this, so we didn't have juries in the magistrates' court. So they've got these magistrates' court set up, and they've got all these people, you know, drunkards from Townsend, you know, all your rabble or whatever. I don't want to degrade or downgrade anyone. Just, you know, nightclub, you know, fighting or scrapping, God knows whatever. Just all your general, you know, magistrates' court stuff. And people aren't getting a fair trial from their peers unless it's, you know, exceptionally serious. And most people don't want to appeal to Crown Court, right? I think a lot of those magistrates' court offences probably, they must have been getting a lot of people through those courts, right? But all the time, you know, the crime level had been going up. If you note in the House of Lords conversations, in the Industrial Revolution, in the boom, they said, oh, we need to reform the justice system. You know, we've had loads of industrial expansion and building, and the crime's gone up. So they knew that as they were making more and more cities and building more and doing more business and doing more industry, they found they were getting more and more crime, not less. Now, their principle is, oh, progress, and, you know, we're providing all the things that people never had before, and it's the future. But that can't be the future, because that means the future, by their plans, oh, I designed a new widget, oh, I made a new aircraft, oh, I made a new car, now I've got a new chemical laboratory, and now I've got 50 times more crime. Well done! Congratulations, Professor! You know, here's Rishi Sunak. And Rishi Sunak, the richest man in the world, with the biggest crime problem. They seem to come hand in hand together. You know, the richest, biggest business with the most maximum crimes there. How can you figure that one out? Well, I don't know. Who stole all the money? What crime is it? Well, let's have a look for it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. You know, this is it. You know, I wondered why those people were trying to get recover it. You know, it's in the vault, you know. This is it. You know, the biggest city with the most technology and the cutting-edge laptops and computers and the biggest crime level, just as it always was, you know, straight from the House of Lords acknowledgements of, you know, the 1800s. You know, we'll pull the jury out of there. You know, the crime level's gone up, and the conviction rate's probably gone up as well, because people aren't getting a fair trial. You know, we'll deal with, you know, there's not really anything you can do about it. You know, if you're not getting the right people in Parliament, and you, you know, aren't exercising the proper political rights, it seems like they're walking all over people. You know, they're designing, surely that is the design of crime. They had it all. They had all the statistics. They had all the numbers. They had all the statistics. They had all the court records. They had everything from the courts, all the evidence of all the criminals they'd caught. They could evaluate it all, and they thought, yeah, this is great. We've got all the money. They haven't. You know, if they fuck around, we'll bang them up and get them in front of the magistrates. Bang, bang, bang. Get them locked up. That's no problem to me. I couldn't give a monkeys. You know, top of the morning to you. You know, Boris Johnson in his newspaper column. You know, we'll wind him up. You know, we'll give him a wind up in the column. You know, that's effectively it. And now they've actually wanted more. They want more of that. Apparently they liked that plan and model. It went well, and it was a success. It was clearly deemed a success. Project Industry, new widgets, new wallops, new dollops, new buildings, new shoes, new ties, new top hats, new legislation, new government, new cars, new helicopters. This is great, and you know, and all these scumbags locked up in prison, or criminals. Brilliant. You know, just what the doctor ordered. So as far as I'm concerned, I think they marked it off as a success. And they push forward. You know, do you think we should, you know, maybe level things out a bit? You know, let's not have all these criminals. No. You know, we can't do that. What do you expect? Sacrifice half my fortune? You know, no. We'll just keep getting banged up. You know, not even fair. At that point, I think Magna Carta surely had been violated at that point. If Clause 39 is still in effect, I think at that point, you know, in the mid-1800s, I think, you know, anyone in their right mind would have called them out on that. But then again, I don't think that the attorneys, I don't think that the barristers ever liked the right to petition or the conscience of the jury, because you don't need a barrister with a expensive degree in law and a complicated argument. You just need a jury with a conscience, you know, and you just need an honest plea at the end of the day, if it can rest on either. They said that, you know, petitions with people signing them weren't the greatest fancy of the barristers and lawyers, you know. But anyway, so here we are, fast forward into the mid-90s, people are getting done by these, you know, cameras and so forth, what have you, and there is no jury, and a lot of people don't want to go to court anyway. And then what they did is that they're getting people to just admit they were doing it and confess, you know, and then there's people start getting into the legal arguments, you know, with Nick Freeman and the legal road signage, but not many people getting too much into it. So people just pay and hope that the points run out or go away. But, you know, they're making fines each time, but no one's getting a fair trial. And I don't think that many people are investigating or looking into it. But at that point, and then they brought the law in, so you're not allowed, you don't have the right to remain silent. You've got to say who's driving, which that's got to be a violation of the fundamental laws anyway, short of having a fair trial from a jury. If I'd have known what I know now, I probably would have opted to go straight into the Crown Court, even if it was a petty crime. But, you know, not even argue it with the ticket office, because no matter what legal points or arguments you argue with them, they won't drop it. So you'd have been better back all through the 90s if you'd have known what you were doing. You probably would have been better going into a Crown Court. Although I think now, with all the Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil business and mass media, I think all the juries are a bit savvy on what's actually going on and happening now. But so the offer, the notice of intended prosecution, like the first one I got through with that traffic light. So what is happening with those? Well, it's a letter from the police chief. And his apparatus, his machines, not a person, were all apparently prescribed and approved. That's joke, because they're not to prescribed requirements at all. Many of them aren't fitted to prescribed requirements. They're unlawfully fitted and set up. He sent you a letter and he says, I've got evidence against you and I'm going to prosecute you. I want to prosecute you unless you give me some money. Right? Well, that's blackmail right there. Well, if you've committed an offence, then surely you've got to go to court and prosecute you, right? Right? You committed an offence, I've got evidence against you, I'll see you in court in front of a jury on 20 like William Penn. You know, William Penn, you know, he had a tumultuous incident in the street in London, you know, and he ended up in the courtroom, you know, in front of a jury. That's it, you know. People have been in court for less crimes, like drawing watercolours on the pavement, according to the CPS, you know, which I don't know how they managed to do that when it's not even criminal damage, it's meant to be defacement, and it's only fines, not a criminal prosecution. So, you know, there's questions with the CPS there. But anyway, so when you would get these notices of intended prosecutions, even way back in 1991, well, actually, it wasn't 1991, was it? Because, I mean, I wasn't driving in 1991. It was a bit after. It was like, you know, probably 98 or 97, 96, 97, 98, something like that. Anyway, it was mid-90s, mid to late 90s anyway. Mid to late 90s, get a letter through from a police chief saying you've committed a crime and we've got evidence against you, right? And, you know, unless you pay some money, we're going to prosecute you. So right there at that point, right, if you've committed a crime and if you broke the law, then you're supposed to face a trial by your peers, right? Where are they? There aren't any. So we've got a man who is running a regime, a set machines. He's got a setup, set up, and he effectively is saying, "Give me some money, or I'm going to prosecute you." Right, in a court. Right, but if you give me the money, then we won't prosecute you in court. Well, that's blackmail right there. That is a blackmail. He's saying that if you give me some money, you won't have to go for a fair trial, right? That's right, yeah. If you confess that you are guilty of a crime and give me money, you will not have to face a fair trial, right? But I'd like one. Well, you'd be lucky to get a fair trial in a magistrate's court in front of a jury. So they fucking pulled them out in 1850 odd, right? Yeah, they don't have them. So, and it's not an extremely serious offence like murder, right? So maybe it could be, but it's not. In fact, there is no offence because no offence occurred, right, on that occasion. So I think from that point in time, I must have been investigating illegal road signage for sure. I think that's the thing. Surely if we're going to backdate it by the doctor, that's when the series of unfortunate offences started from. So I now, if these police chiefs are in charge of a force, and they've got a jurisdiction, an area, right? These people have got an area, a jurisdiction, right? Which is like, Manchester or whatever. Then, you're their enemy. And when you're getting judged by a police chief without a fair trial, and he's asking you to confess and even give money over, then that is the principle set out in the claim of right that they can't do with their military commanders with judicial office, basically condemning the opponents, the opposition, condemning the opposition. So that's it. But the thing is that the oath of the judge is that they cannot give offers and deals for justice. They can't. They can't offer deals for justice and not for confessions. They can't offer any deals or favours, offers for justice in order to extract and get you to confess. It's an illegal principle. It's based on blackmail, and it's based on also people having a judicial authority and committing people without a fair trial, particularly when they're their opponents. The police chiefs are extremely criminal to the degree of ancient history, like claim of right. Scottish on the front line of the Scottish borders. This is forbidden. This is a forbidden principle. This is like the 1688 Bill of Rights significance. A historic event in history. 1688 Bill of Rights, the right to petition. That 1689 claim of right, it's in there with all that. Act of indemnity, the whole lot. It's classic. It's a classic. It's a classic out of the leaf of the book. And these guys are like, he's Sheriff of Nottingham, but he's in them. He's not in them. He's in with them. So the NIP, without doubt or question, is forcing. It forces a confession out of the person. Claims they don't have even a right to remain silent. And it also gives deals and offers. It negotiates money. If it's under 14 days, we'll knock you a bit off. Or if you don't pay within this time, it's a bit more. This is negotiating justice, right, for money. That is not a fair trial in front of your own peers, right? That is a military person going around taking pictures of you and getting evidence on you and threatening you with using justice to threaten you to confess if you don't give money over. And I will, if I ever see any money in this life, I'll use it to prosecute every single police chief who has ever been in the job in England since 1990. Every single one of them who are alive or dead. You know, Peter Fahey, you know, Steve Callaghan, not Steve Callaghan's not the chief, Finnegan's Wake, you know, every single one of them. Any of them who's touched a speed gun, had the finger on the trigger, any fingerprints on any of those devices, right? Simon Byrne ran off to Northern Ireland, you know, ran away to Northern Ireland with his, you know, traffic light camera on the bend in the road, you know, when it's supposed to be only installed on a straight strip, you know. That's Macclesfield, Cheshire Police, you know. These guys, they think they're good guys, but they're not, because the way they're doing it is they want to win and they want to beat you, and they do it under the cause. It's like, oh, it's for children in need or for charity or, you know, for saving lives or for good. But what they're doing is the principle and basis of justice. If you have that, he doesn't get what he wants out of it, which means that he doesn't really believe in the model of justice. He doesn't believe in justice. He actually only believes in the law. And there's laws written, and if you don't do what the law says, then he's not bothered. You didn't do what the law said, and he's got evidence on you, and, you know, but he's not even sending you for a fair trial with your own peers. In fact, he's wanting money off you. And it's power. And the thing with that is that, you know, he can say road safety all he wants, but at the end of the day, it's not his business. His business is but he's getting involved in setting these things up as well. And some of the signs are misleading people. Like here, look, on one side of the road it says 20, and on the other side of the road it says 40. So he's got a lot of this going on as well. And what he's not doing is he's not prosecuting with corrupt and illegal practices the illegal road signage. Because he said, oh, there isn't, what offence? Well, it says it's illegal. It's against the law. Road signage, which is not prescribed, is illegal. So if you've been placing it wrongly, what is that? Well, it's a corrupt and illegal practice, because you're practicing placing road signage illegally, right? You know, he's looking through his little book for offences. Yeah, corrupt and illegal practices, chief. You know, widespread. You know, this is what even elections can get called. If you can call off an election because of widespread corruption, you can have an election like the London mayor election called off under the Local Government Acts or Free Representation of the People Acts, right, for widespread corruption. So surely you can have all the speeding things called off, you know, for widespread corruption, which it is widespread corruption. That's what my investigation found out. I found out the road signage was placed on purpose at these specific sites where the police knew they were going to be going there regularly and doing people because they would be misled by the limits and the signs at exact places. It was pre-planned, premeditated, strategically put in place and strategically managed, not only by the police, but by the Department of Transport, Highways England, and the local council authorities. And they all knew about it, and they evaded liability. It's a corrupt and illegal practice, network racket. It's a racket. It is a racket. You can fly as many flyers, charity flyers as you want, you know, like Save the Children, Children in Need, you know, whatever charitable cause or good cause you can fly, whatever banner you want. But if you're not playing it by the rules and you're out to trick people and mislead them, and these people were getting awards for it, rewards, you know, lining up with Prince Philip and getting the badge pinned on the chest. It's diabolically evil and fascist, you know, and it's against the law of England. It's against the Magna Carta and the Bill of Rights and the Petition of Right and the Claim of Right. It's against all principles of statute law and even common law, you know. And those notices of intended prosecutions aren't lawful. They're not lawful. They never were lawful. On all this Pepe Poo forum, you know, about, what is it? Is there a mistake on the NIP, or did they send it within 14 days and all this and all that? Or, you know, is there an argument for the road signage? None of that matters anymore. The entire concept and the basis of this fast track system was illegal. They even call it a fast track system. And then the worst thing is that someone's just said on this group, and this is what caused me to start recording this video now. Someone on this group said that, they've just been to a speed awareness course, like, they're still doing those. Now, the model of the speed awareness course is that they catch a load of people, right? And the ones who either haven't been on the speed awareness course for 3 years or don't have any penalty points or anything yet, they're allowed to go on a course, right? On a course with some fellow peers who have also accused. But if they go on this course, then they won't be prosecuted or convicted, right? It's almost like getting the old jury to say, all right, we'll let ourselves off, right? But it's not as simple as pretending that it's a little jury with consciences and the police officer's got a conscience, he's going to let you off that time, right? Because it's an indoctrination session with a police representative, someone who represents the police, and they're telling you that everything you're doing is bad, that your driving ideology, your driving approach, your attitude is bad, the whole thing, you know, and what they're doing is they're actually getting a bunch of drivers, really it's kind of at random, because you get caught at random, and it's randomly what people are going to have no points, right, unless they, you know, rig all that. So, and then they get them all together. So it really is actually truly a random selection of people, as a matter of fact. Statistically, it is a random group of people who are all being let off, not by their peers like they would in the magistrate's court if they were acquitted, but by the police chief at this time, His Grace. By, oh yes, I'm sorry, Your Grace, right? The police chief has given them permission to come together, and they're indoctrinated into this, they're primed with this belief system. At one point, they were showing these videos of this kid running out of school in Scotland, walking out of the schoolyard, and someone happened to be filming him, yeah, right, before mobile phones had video cameras on. And he runs out, and this car hits him, and the body just goes woof, straight through the air, right? And I need to subpoena that as well. That's something else I want to subpoena, besides that Jeremy Vine show, Nick Freeman section from 15 or odd years ago. I want to subpoena that video that they had in the speed awareness course, because I believe that no one would coincidentally be walking out of a school by chance at a time when anyone got hit like that, ever. Because it just, the odds of it, the population of Scotland, the fact that people don't really take video cameras to school, why would you be filming on the way walking out? And then why would you, like, it's recording a little bit, messing around? Why would you continue to record it? There is no doubt. And now, knowing from what happened with, I've just watched, what do you call it? What's that guy called? Peter Oborne. Peter Oborne, who goes on Double Down News quite a lot. He's like a journalist, right? He's just done an interview with a guy about the newspaper reporting overseas for all these Middle East conflicts. And he says that all this, beheading of babies and all that was all made up and fabricated and exaggerated, and the press is being used like a cannon for propaganda, right? I want to get hold by Sabina of that video, right? What they were showing in those speed awareness courses around England and Scotland and Wales, because I believe that video was fake. It was made by a director, it was faked, and what we see fly through the air wasn't a real person, right? Because no one had mobile phones like they do now. People had sort of crude cameras on their phones. It was propaganda, and it was there to scare people. And on that basis, if you can prove that with that video, that is a strong part of the evidence to prove that the police chief officers are in on a scam, a setup, not only with the whole illegal road signage, with the whole taking away of the juries, the getting people to confess through deals for justice, deals and offers for justice. It's the judges actually are apparently meant to have. I've heard that some justices get involved with the signs and setting up the locations and some of the speed awareness course material, right? And some of them even do this. They're like, there's this trick they've got in there where how many pens are on the page, right? How many pens can you spot? They flash you an image really quick, like for half a second, and you've got to tell them how many pens are on the page. That's another joke for like the right to petition, and over 20 people, signing a petition. I've just realised that that's their little William Penn joke, with their old Bailey plaque joke, They've got, they know, I used to think that these people like Max Hill now with the Angela Ditchfield case, ignoring the Town and Country Planning Act, I don't think these people are stupid. I think they know what they're doing and it's planned. I think some of them are psychopathic. I do believe that some of these people are psychopaths, strategic career criminal, predatory psychopaths, and they get a career which is rank and file, award winning, and being under Prince Philip in the past and the whole regime, and the fact that all the cameras have got the crown on them, crown, gives that regal authority where, no one dare question it, not even the police themselves or the road traffic, it's all. And then when you hear the Privy Council oath, that they can see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil of the king, or even understand any bad done. How can they understand an illegal road signage network which planned strategically when it's got the crown emblem on it, representing the monarch? They're not going to go there because that will bring the whole royal image into disrepute, and that is what they're sworn in oath not to do. So the police are backed up by dark magic of the Privy Council. It's all very Darth Vader, Imperial Red Stormtrooper kind of like oddness with, release invader, it's all dark and sinister, the whole thing. Now, you might think that having an accident or incident is dark and sinister, but, they used to have those turnpikes. I've got some of those, a picture of some of those on one of the pages. Those turnpikes, that was an offence to move those when people had carts and horses. I think the horses could get impaled on those. I don't think those turnpikes would pass health and safety now because like horses can get impaled on them. The whole design of the cars not being that safe, and who own the car companies and who were designing them. The cars could have been made like dodgems, when you could smash into each other like Mr. Soft the whole way through. Lots of things could have been done. I start to wonder, and this is probably stretching it a little bit far now, but I'm going to throw this out there as well. it starts to make me wonder if some of the prominent persons, let's say prominent people who are out and about knocking around in their, their Biggles goggles with their scarves blowing in the wind in their, one-seater sports cars or even two-seater sports cars. It makes me wonder if, there is this very dark side to it all, whether or not, the police or anyone might pull out on some unsuspecting, country gentleman and he had an accident, and then, if the vehicles weren't that safe, then, it's sure enough way to, take a few people out. And then we're getting onto the subject of those old charters of London where they're encouraging people to go dig up their treasures of their ancestors and gold, and, if anyone finds it, they can keep it, finders keepers. And then we find ourselves in the future now. Oh, no. If you find any gold or relics, you can't keep it. No, it's property of the king and queen. After they've coerced everyone to dig out all of the barrows and dolmens everywhere looking for treasure. And then they started on the ones in Ireland as well, didn't they, in the mid-1800s? Probably around the time they were pulling the juries out of the courts as well. The peers, judgment of the peers. The ancestors are getting dug up when they're pulling the peers out of the magistrates' courts. So, I don't really want to go into that area of it anymore because that's a separate campaign and a separate set of evidence to do with ancient sites. But, you got Stonehenge Tunnel, they're trying to dig that tunnel under there. There's that Darwin Oak thing going on with a lot of petitions. Just us, just the people, really. These big petitions, there's 20% of Wales nearly signed a petition and they're entitled to a referendum at 5%. And they're not giving them it. What's going on? What's going on with the ULEZ? Well, managed to get them to put a bill before Parliament, even though the Labour voted against it. But, that campaign's been hijacked by the Conservative Party for their benefit in the polls. So, it's the trying to keep it back on the subject of the driving and the road traffic. Those NIPs are illegal. The notices of intended prosecution, the framework, even though they've got legislation down for it, it's illegal. It's unlawful. It's unlawful legislation. We're not going to get any action on it from the police. They're not going. It's too big. And I doubt we're going to get the Conservative or Labour Party to, because they are constructs of it. It's their construct and their legacy. So they aren't going to confess this. It's questionable whether we can get a judgment in it. It's too big of a case to get the people to judge unless they do it by petition. And we're looking at a potentially corrupt high-level, top-level judiciary. They're not allowed to. It's going to look. Put it this way: with Crown on all of the speed cameras, even if it was deemed to be nothing to do with Charles, that he gave any orders to set it up, or it was his idea, or any of the companies behind, or the contractors, or the police chiefs. Even then, with Crown on all of the camera posts, it doesn't make it makes it look bad for the Crown. And part of the oath of the Privy Council is that they can't do anything to make the royal family look bad, as well as they can't understand anything that they could do bad. So you're not and I doubt that even in the Royal Courts of Justice, if they're not Privy Councillors, I don't know if you could get it done, sorted out in there. I actually think at the moment, from the prospects, there aren't any other political parties in it. I don't think the Reform Party or Reclaim Party, I don't think Tice and Farage would ever resolve this or want or have the will to resolve it. I don't think it can be done from in this country because of the establishment and the country. I mean, look at Keir Starmer, his Privy Council. His name is Starmer, The Knights of Garter wear a star on their chest. He's Starmer. He's not going to do it. And he was leading the Crown Prosecution Service for a long time. It really needs to be done probably by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or someone like that. You know, and he's got his own problems at the moment with Biden and Trump. You know, trying to cheat him actually getting elected into the president's position. But I think someone like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. could sort it out. But that's from beyond England. You know, that's seeking help from overseas. And, you know, you can't seek too much help from overseas. Not asking him to send Air Force One over, or else I'll get arrested for espionage. But if I've got evidence against my government, this is like Assange. This is like Assange now. This is like Assange's evidence, you know, against the Americans. Although America's not his own country, I'm not too sure what the solution is. Maybe MI5 could write the answer down on the back of a postcard if they knew what the answer was. If they could comprehend the answer, they might all be on drugs. They might be, you know, I don't think MI5 or MI6, if they're sworn in to this odd oath, they're handicapped. They're retarded. They're voluntarily retarded. You know, hi. I'm a retard, you know. I've taken oath to retardedness. It's a shame when, you know, the dark magic reaches to an extent of retard, you know, incapacity to think or understand. Because the whole court basis is based on, you know, fact and evidence and so forth. When you are not allowed, when you can't understand evidence or fact, if you go in a courtroom and, you know, they hold up a red, you know, chair and they say, what colour is it? And, you know, you can't, you know, this is the naughty chair, you know, that's not a naughty chair, you know, I can't understand that. This is, you know, it's almost like Charles' throne. That's a naughty chair. No, it's not. This is a naughty chair. No, this is a red chair. No, it's not. It's yellow. You know, when you get to a stage where people can't, you know, say something which is obviously fact, you know, it's almost like, you know, if they tell you, you know, if someone told you it was raining outside, you'd have to check twice, you know. If you know, if Charles was, you know, in a blimp, you know, pulling a lever, raining acid rain on people, apparently that's not a bad thing, you know, or people might not even believe that it is raining, you know. If someone told me it was raining acid outside, I'd have to go check, you know. If it was Charles, it's not raining, you know. Or no, it's positive, you know. We need this. Almost like the COVID lockdown. So, I mean, I don't really know what else there is to do at the moment. I mean, people are getting the signatures democratically for action, and it's being denied by persons in government. We're meant to have a legal process whereby we can get a fair political outcome through voting and signatures. So, what can you say to a government, a military, who are now acting and conducting themselves with a force, and the military are supposed to be there to protect our borders from foreign threats, not the inside. Well, what threats? Well, the only threat at the moment is that where the law is being broken en masse by the government, you know. So, you know, while the military continue to be persistent in retardedness, then I don't really see how you can solve it, because everything that I've said is the truth and fact to the best of my knowledge, you know. So, I mean, what other evidence do you need?